Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti. This is Mike's Italian Grand Adventure. I'm just hanging out here feeding some hummingbirds, and I get a little bit aggressive. There's one in particular who's in charge, this guy here. And if someone else comes here, he'll chase them away. But yeah, things are going well here in Colorado. We just had a really wet week. I mean, it was cloudy, stormy, downpours, some mudslides on the roads and whatnot. But it was a beautiful day yesterday. I got out for a long motorcycle ride, which is exactly what I needed. And then today we've got a beautiful day here, and the hummingbirds are getting a little something to eat. So we've got some updates to share with you this week. Actually, the guys had been there and worked on a few different projects. So we had some progress, had a few things get done. There's still things that need to get done, but at least, I've got some good news to share. So that's exciting. And why don't we go ahead and roll the credits while these guys keep eating, and I'll be back in just a minute. All right, so we've got some progress on the house to report, so that's really great. Yeah, the guys got back from Spain and spent a week over there working, and so they were able to bust out a few things. Not everything's done yet, and I think honestly at this point, I'm just going to have them wait until I get back, and then I'll be there to kind of supervise them and make sure things are done the way I want. As I go through the things that they've worked on already, I'll show you some of the things that I wish I was there to make sure they had done correctly or differently. So, it's very positive that we've got some stuff moving forward, at least this week. So, it's an incredibly beautiful day here. You can maybe see these clouds building behind me. There was just a rumble of thunder a little bit ago. So that was no doubt some afternoon storms coming in, but we'll see what happens. But at least I had enough time to record this video and to enjoy this beautiful morning here, and to be able to share this information with you guys. So let's take a look at some of the progress. These are some of the things the guys have been working on. So I think I'm going to save this one for the end. There's one little thing from the rooftop terrace. I'll save that to the last item. But let's take a look at some of the progress. All right, let's take a look at some of these updates. So first, let's look at the kitchen. All right, so as you can see here, the kitchen, all the appliances are installed now. In this photo, you can't quite see it, but in this photo, you can see the exhaust fan is installed. So, one of the questions I would have for them if I had been there is, why doesn't it match the top of the wall? It's sticking up taller than the wall. So there's no reason they couldn't have moved that exhaust fan down an inch or so that it's level with the wall. So there was another problem after all, as you see if you look at the top of the cabinets where they match the wall, actually the cabinets are taller than the wall. So when they were building the wall, I said, whatever it was, 222 or was it where the height of the cabinets was supposed to be, I said, why don't we make it 230 just to make sure? And I'm not sure if they did, but it turns out now the cabinets are taller than that wall anyway. It's just a little bit, but it's one of those things. These are things that shouldn't happen. So now the exhaust fan is a little bit higher than the wall. But again, I guess if that's higher than the wall and cabinets on both ends are higher than the wall, then it's consistent. But it's not ideal. So you're not there. So it's one of the things. I was there when they built the wall for the cabinet, though, so I don't know why that didn't work out. But let's look at also one of the great things. Adam was putting the handles on the drawers and the doors, and so he sent me a picture I told him to put a piece of tape on the door where he's thinking of putting them, and then he did that and took a picture and sent a few different pictures of where he thought where they could go. And then I sent him back these pictures and said, yes, this one here, because that's a door that's under the sink, the one on the left side, instead of at the top in the center. And then the one that's in the center, that was for the dishwasher. And then for the drawers too, obviously I want them centered, but not in the middle, but up towards the top. So yeah, those looked great. Those turned out nice. This was a great way of communicating when I wasn't there with pictures. And I put a little note on there and sent it back to him. So that worked out really well, actually. So the other thing they did is there's a piece of trim where the cabinets meet the wall. So if you remember, these walls in this kitchen, in this house in general, are not plumb. They're not vertical. They're angled back from the bottom to the top, or forward from the top to the bottom, or however. I mean, they're just not straight up and down vertical plumb. So the bottom of these cabinets, we pushed them all the way against where the floor met the wall. But at the top, it was a couple inches difference. So, of course, IKEA knows that walls aren't going to be straight, or they're not going to fit exactly, because the cabinet boxes are set sizes and a room isn't a perfect multiple of the cabinet boxes. So you can buy trim pieces that you trim and match. So this is what these two pictures are showing here, where they cut the trim to fit on the wall on the right of the kitchen, and where they cut the trim to fit on the left end of the kitchen. So, from these pictures, I think it looks great. It's pretty hard to do. Really, to do it right, you should put it up there and scribe it, and then use a jigsaw to cut it to match the wall perfectly. I don't know if these guys were doing it with a circular saw, where you don't really have that precision. I guess you can always get by with putting a bead of caulk down there and kind of hide some of that. But ideally, you wouldn't need to if it was done right. So these are the things I'm not sure how they did it, if they did it right, or how they do it. We'll see. I guess since I'm not there, if it is a bead of caulk down there to fill a gap and it looks clean, that's what we're going to do. But obviously the walls are painted one color and the caulk is going to be white. It's not going to match probably. Or if you could get a dark brown that would be close to the cabinets, that would probably be preferable, because then it's going to kind of blend in and not be super noticeable. These are the little things I notice because I've done cabinetry and I know how to do this stuff. So these are the things I want to be there for. But once again, I was not able to be there. So I'm sure these guys did a good job, and it'll be fine, and we'll make it work for sure. So that's kind of it for the kitchen. Everything else is in, I think. There's a water heater under that kitchen sink, because the only other water heaters are in the bathrooms on the opposite side of the house, and I didn't want to have to drain the whole water line across the width of the house in order to get hot water. That'd be a huge waste. So we, water heater for under the sink was like $100. It wasn't a lot, €100, so it wasn't a lot. So hopefully that's installed and works. And yeah, so that's for the kitchen. That's kind of it. Let's move on to the living room in the rental apartment. So this is the one where they could not get the electrical wires through the existing conduit in the ceiling. Now, why they didn't just trench that out and put a new one in, I don't know. But they suggested just doing this twisted kind of decorative wiring up the arch of the ceiling, because there's a panel right at the top of the wall where the wall meets the ceiling, where the electrical was, and then I just run it up. And I was okay with that, because that's what we were going to have to do anyway if we had exposed the brick ceilings. That's how you do it. You put these little pedestals in the ceiling and run the wire along the surface up to the light fixture. So here you can see in these pictures they did that, and then this light fixture was in the house before, and it was pretty decent, and I said I wanted to keep it, so they chose to put it in this room. They didn't ask me which room they wanted it, what I wanted it in, but that's fine. I can change that. We can move it around, put a different one in there, whatever. So, but I think this looks really nice. I like it. I think it's good. This is a great solution. So that's the living room on the rental apartment floor, the second floor. Let's see what else we have going on here. We also have a bunch of the sconces were put in. So if you remember, I bought 4 sconces for the stairwell, one on each floor, and there's 2 on the ground floor, 1 on the ground floor, and then 1 on each, halfway up to each floor. Anyway, so they turned out really beautiful. They're super nice, and I needed like 6 or 8 more of them throughout the house. So I thought, I'm just going to buy all these same sconces. That way, at least there'll be some continuity through the house if I like them. If I don't, they weren't terribly expensive. I think they're like maybe 30 or 40 euros each, and I can always use them somewhere else. So if I get a different light fixture from where we use these, I think a cool place to use them would be down in the cantina in the cellar. because they're really kind of cool and they cast a nice light, a nice glow, and kind of that goldish feel. So I think if I decide to put some different ones in from where these are, I'll use them down in the cantina. So that's really cool. So anyway, here's a couple of them. These are in the hallways, from the main entrance from the stairwell and to the bathroom. So there's one in that long hallway, and then there's one right outside the bathroom on each floor. And I think they look great. I think they look nice. We'll see how they look when I'm there. The ones that are above the, I don't even know what it's called, conduit, the plastic housing that's mounted on the wall to run the air conditioning tubing and drains and power. The power ended up being right by there for the lights, and I'm not sure that I like these there, but I'll see what they look like in person. And like I said, at least they're in, at least we have light, and I can always change them later, and I guarantee they'll look fantastic down in the cantina. So maybe if I end up keeping all these, I'll buy some more for down there, because I think that'll look really cool. So yeah, that's I think that's a nice one. Good to see those are in there. And then also, so my office, remember they didn't want to trench in that ceiling because that's also the roof. So a solid concrete, so they didn't want to cut into that and weaken it or anything. So they suggested just putting some outlets on the wall for sconces. So here, I don't think these are going to work because they kind of go up from where the power comes out and they're close to the ceiling. Again, I'll see what they look like when I get there. But again, I can change this in the future. This always looks good. This is fine. So, and then let's take a look at the bathrooms. There's some pictures here of the bathrooms. This one in particular, I was looking at when I was there, and I noticed we kind of made a big mistake. So above the sink in the rental unit, we should have continued that tile from behind the shower over one more course, one more tile over, and then this mirror would have hung flush on the tile wall. As it is, you can see half the mirror is on the tile wall, and then it steps back like an inch or an inch and a half back to the wall. So I don't know how they mounted the light and this on that wall, because the wall is actually an inch or two behind the mirror where it's supposed to be hanging. So yeah, that's just one of those ones where none of us were thinking. I wasn't thinking, and no one else thought about, wow, wait a second, how are we going to hang a mirror above the sink? Because of course that sink wasn't there when we were doing all this, and just one of those things, you need to think ahead, and none of us did. So let's also in these in the bathrooms, you can see here they have the bidets mounted. But I did get a message that the bidet in my bathroom was defective or something, or they couldn't use it because the way the plumbing comes out of the wall wouldn't work, which I'm really confused about, because they were able to mount the one in the upper bathroom, and that presumably had the exact same plumbing. And then, I bought these bidets and toilets like, I don't know, 2.5 months ago. 3 months ago. If they're defective, they should have been inspected when I got them, right when I brought them to the house. They sat there for months and weren't installed, or at least a month. So pretty frustrated about that. But again, what are you going to do? We'll see. I mean, it's a bidet. It's got like a water line and a drain line. It doesn't have to run any solids. It's just running water. So it should be easy. You should be able to use flexible tubing for both the drain and the water line. So we'll see. I'll ask them about that and see if we can make that work. Then they also finished the base trim in the bathrooms, and the tile base trim was one that hadn't been finished, because on the wall where the tile meets the plaster wall, I bought tile base trim that matches the floor tile that goes there. And Adam put that in. It looks really nice. But on this picture they sent me, it looks like on the top of the tile, it looks like they used white caulk instead of using grout, which I don't understand why. Grout would match. White doesn't match. White doesn't look the same as the tile. It doesn't look the same as the color as the paint on the wall. So it really is obvious. I mean, this big, super bright white line. So if you're going to use caulk, use gray caulk at least, so it matches the tile. So I don't know what's going on there, but these are things absolutely, if I was there, I would be like, no, you grout it. And maybe they say, oh, that's hard to clean because then it's kind of rough. Okay, well then let's use gray caulk, because then it's not going to show up. But white doesn't match the wall, nor does it match the tile. And it really stands out. So I'm not a fan of that. So we'll have to take a look at that when I get back. Just these are the things. This is why I wanted to be there, right? this is why I was so disappointed when the project wasn't done before I left, as it was supposed to be. So, now I get to go back and, either just accept the things that I don't like, that they're there, or, have them come back and work on it some more. So I don't know, but they got the tile done, the tile base trim. So, and I think, it's done well. It's done nicely. I mean, the work they did, the caulking they did looks really nice from this picture. It's just, I wouldn't have done white, that doesn't make sense. Here's a few various other pictures of just the base trim around the house that they put in. And, I think it looks nice. I'm glad I was able to get that trim, to find that base trim on sale. Man, it was a lot cheaper than just regular base trim. And it's got a little profile on top that I think is nice. So these guys did a great job. I looked at their joints before I left, and they were really nice. They actually did a really good job on this. Marcin was working on this. Adam was working on this. And those guys did great work. Really, really precise. So I really like that. And base trim's a bear, and especially when the walls aren't straight. You should see some of these walls in some of these rooms were just like this, where there was a chimney, and it just, oh my gosh. So thank goodness there's going to be a piece of furniture in front of that, so no one's going to really see it. But it's an old house. The walls aren't straight, and that's just part of the game, part of the way it's supposed to do. So let's take a look here. All right, you know what? I mean, there are just so many updates that I was sharing with you guys, that it's just taken me so long to just talk about them all. I didn't realize I had so much to say, that there was so much progress. So I'm going to split this into 2 episodes. So this is the end of updates part 1, and tune in next week for part 2. But like we always talk about, if you guys are happy with the content, you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Click on that thumbs up, and that helps a lot. Helps me. It helps Google know that you like my content. Helps Google let other people know about my content, because you like it. So also, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please click on the subscribe button, and then click on the little bell, and you'll hear a ding, and that means that you're going to get notifications whenever I upload new content. So whether that be shorts or full episodes like this, or whatever might come. But anyway, yeah, please thumbs up, subscribe, click on the bell, and I will see you next week with part 2 of the updates.